is it possible that this many people actually want us dead for our political views? Again, I was not by any means a Charlie Kirk fan, but I think it kind of caused a lot of people to think to themselves, like, oh my God, if people are cheering over this guy having been shot, like, are there people who would cheer if I were to be shot?
Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the Party Pal. This is Fountainhead Forum 369, and Rose Leatherman is back. We're going to talk about some current events, LP Libertarian Party Alliance, and what's happening all over right now. It's great to have Rose back on because she's always a voice of reason. One of the more, and we seem to agree on a lot of things. So, how are you, Rose?
Pretty good. How are you doing tonight?
Yes. One thing we noticed with the Libertarian Party is that they've announced the time, but not the location yet for the 2028 National Convention, and they decided to move it to February. This is interesting, and apparently they think this will help the presidential candidate.
Well, it will help in New York.
Yeah.
Other people have issues with it because it's going to make things difficult for them. That actually helps us greatly in New York because for people who aren't aware of the situation, the LPNY lost our ballot access along with all the other third parties, aside from a couple. Oh, yeah, the LaRouche people somehow always get their candidate on the ballot. But we lost our access after the New York State governor just decided to unilaterally triple the signature requirements from 15,000 to 45,000, making it extremely, I mean, in practice, that means 90,000 because they'll disqualify as many of them as they can. Makes it extremely difficult to get our candidate on the ballot. So what we have to do every presidential election cycle is elect a placeholder candidate so that we can get started with petitioning to try to get the candidate on the ballot. And then it's just expected that that candidate will step down and endorse the official LP nominee once the national convention is held. But it would be a lot easier if we knew who our candidate was going to be and we could inform people of their platform, give a convincing pitch, and collect signatures for them for the actual candidate. It's the way it works in New York. Our petitioning period is it ends like a week or two usually before the convention if the convention is held in May. So yeah, that helps us a lot. I know it does make things difficult for a lot of people in other state parties.
Oh yes, I mean I don't know what's going to happen with Texas, but with the state convention being mandated for days in April, and it's always been in April, I don't know exactly how this works out for us, whether or not we have two conventions or we'll figure out what happens here. I don't know. They've never had the national convention at this time of year, and I do have to, simply bring up the concern also of possible winter weather events interfering with things, with which you really don't have that problem in Memorial Day weekend. We'll see what happens.
There was a lot of complaining about that, which okay, I guess it is difficult to drive in February. I mean, it's relevant for us depending on where they decide to hold the convention. Okay, I guess. Yeah, driving's not exactly fun here in the winter, but I know it's worse in some other states where they get even worse ice storms.
Well, not everybody drives, but if you have some weather event, it can impact travel significantly. An airport shuts down, Chicago shuts down, or someplace like that on the way. I mean,
plan to arrive a day early. I mean, that's generally advised anyway. I never understood why they chose Memorial Day weekend. Like everything is travel and hotel rooms are always way more expensive because it's a holiday weekend. And like rather than having it maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, they start it, I don't know, because people have Monday off from work usually. It kind of defeats the purpose of having it on a 3-day weekend if they don't make use of the holiday itself.
I think they figure people will use that last day as a day to go home. It's really there are a lot of questions here, and I understand where you're coming from. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. What else have we been observing from LP National right now? It's
What has happened since we
yeah,
last talked about the LP? Well, I mean, we saw the Mises splinter faction basically dissolve, the Nikela faction, several
yeah,
resignations. So we're down to just two factions again. Previously, we had the original Mises faction, who were still the Angela and Michael Heist loyalists. Then we had the Splinter faction, who backed Nikela, and then we had the anti or non-Mises faction. That the Splinter faction basically dissolved, so now we're back to two factions, and we've seen, yeah, I think we're back to faction wars because I think the original Mises faction is feeling emboldened. They seem to have renewed their efforts to recruit people and to gain back power.
I wonder how they're going to do that because now we know more about it's more about what's happening here. I don't know.
I don't know how either, because their
Yes,
original pitch was that they were going to bring principled libertarianism back to the party. Like, they attracted people who had been frustrated by the kind of watered down messaging, the Gary Johnson and Bill Weld type libertarians. And then COVID is where a ton, myself included, where a ton of people really joined because they were frustrated by the extremely milquetoast response by the party to COVID. But I mean, they've done a complete 180 on everything that they originally claimed to stand for. Okay, they said that, okay, we're going to get a good libertarian spokesperson and run them as our presidential candidate, someone who really knows how to message. What ends up happening? They end up effectively, maybe not officially, but effectively endorsing a duopoly candidate and thinking that they just turned, they became the very prags that they originally hated. So yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to get people to join this time. I know they were talking about how, oh, we can attract RFK people. RFK has his own party now. Most of the people who support the Kingmaker stuff are already Republicans. They're not going to switch parties. So yeah, not writing off
yes,
the possibility of them of them getting a sudden influx of members, but they're going to have a hard time recruiting.
yeah. I don't know what's going to happen after this. I've always found it interesting when you say you're going to play Kingmaker, but you're only doing it for one side. I mean, if you did it for one side and then the other side, that might be truly be a Kingmaker. But if you're not doing that, and I'd never heard of them saying, "Hey, we'll play Kingmaker for a blue candidate." Have they? I mean, so what was it? Yeah. So what are they about? It's really hard to say.
They still have, as far as I know, they still have their original platform listed on their website and like the
Yes.
brochures they hand out at conventions. You'll read it and you'll be like, wow, what happened? Because they it sounded so it sounded like such a great idea. But yeah, they sold out on everything they claimed that they were going to stand for.
Yes, and it seems like a lot of the people who supported all this or who are their people in the podcast world are just saying nothing about it too. I mean,
Yeah,
Tom Woods ignores the Libertarian Party now, even though he was very interested in the Libertarian Party from about 2017 uh, till Chase Oliver was nominated and some other people.
yeah,
They
Dave
just all
Smith.
lost
Because I
again.
mean, yeah, he originally everyone thought he was going to be the candidate. He got I mean, after being a small or describing himself as a small libertarian and being critical of the party, a lot of the criticisms were the same ones echoed by me and a lot of people. Yeah, he got very involved in the party for a short time, then he seemed to completely lose interest. I can't even remember the last time he talked about it. Last time he talked about it, he was still praising Angela, though he at least kind of has gone back on his endorsement of Trump and said that, yeah, he made a mistake there. So I don't know what he still thinks of the Kingmaker stuff.
I really don't know either. It's I don't know where Trump stands with his base. I don't know if Trump cares. I mean, it's rather I mean, yeah, I just saw this tweet from Jeff Tucker. Today was Trump's worst day. And Trump's weakness in the face of industrial power is a shock. No amount of rallying people to his side can fix this. But again, now that it's your last term, what can you really, you can't run again. I don't know if you really care. But then again, if you can't lose, you can kind of do whatever you want. It's hard to say where Trump is going to go with this.
Well, it's interesting how different second term Trump is, because I like first term, like I remember I'm like, okay, I'm not quite sure why everyone is acting like Trump is some kind of unique evil. He's not really, nothing he's doing is that much different than any other previous president. Yeah, he's a lot different this time, like with the actually implementing tariffs, with mobilizing ICE agents, sending federal agents to multiple cities. I mean, the previous administration was also talking about how they were going to crack down on dissent. Now the Trump administration is talking about how they're going to crack down on extremism, and it's yeah.
Well, when he says extremism, I suppose that's quite possibly just people who are protesting Israel, or could
That's
that be?
oh yeah. If you look at some of these censorship laws that are being implemented in other countries, yeah, it's about cracking down on criticism of the Israeli state. Same with all the fear mongering about TikTok. Oh, it's Chinese propaganda. No, it's because there was a ton of criticism of Israel and their policies and the genocide in Gaza on
Yeah.
their platform.
What do you think about the mayor race in New York happening right now? It seems like it's, the former mayor just dropped out, but we got Curtis Sliwa and still.
Well, some of my more left-leaning friends are acting like this is a win for their ideas. I'm sorry to rain on anybody's parade, but New York doesn't even pretend to not be corrupt when it comes to our election system. If they had wanted to keep Mamdani out, they would have. So, okay, what was going on? He was running against Cuomo for the Democratic nomination.
Yes.
Cuomo, yeah, he was a very beloved governor during COVID. I remember I still have this like physical response to his voice where it just fills me with rage because I associate his voice with having to listen to him every morning to find out what I was allowed to do that day. He was being hailed a hero for his COVID response. Everybody supposedly loved him. It honestly looked like he was eyeing a presidential run, and then all of a sudden he resigned from office amid accusations of sexually abusing staff members, which, let's face it, that's something that probably at least 3/4 of government officials have done. It's a problem when somebody wants it to be a problem. Otherwise, it's swept under the rug. Okay, he clearly fell out of favor with somebody powerful. So when it came to the race for New York City mayor, he's trying to make his comeback. He was not allowed to win. What I think is most likely going on is I think Mamdani was allowed to win just to keep Cuomo out, but New York City is probably just going to end up with a Republican mayor, which it's been a while, but it's not unheard of to have a Republican mayor. I think Giuliani may have been the last one in the early 2000s, but it's not unheard of. So that's probably what's going to happen. However, if he's able to win, it's because somebody else wanted him in power, somebody more powerful than the corrupt New York City officials. I mean, let's look at some of his policies. Let's see, rent freezes. Who do those ultimately benefit? They put the small-time landlords who own maybe an apartment complex or two out of business because they can't afford to rent their apartments out at a loss, as things like utility bills, property taxes, and all the other associated costs continue to rise. So what happens? Giant hedge funds swoop in and buy up all the housing. It leads to further consolidation of housing. And same with things like his state-run grocery store idea. Again, okay, they'll be run by the state. The state has the infinite money cheat. They'll be able to afford to sell groceries at prices that no private retailer can. So what's going to happen? Any area that has a state-run grocery store, that will outcompete all these smaller privately owned grocery stores. That'll be the only place to get food. And then, well, who's going to decide what gets sold at a state-run grocery store? Probably lobbyists for various corporations or industries. They're going to lobby to have their products sold. You're going to have things like the green policy people saying, oh, they shouldn't be allowed to sell red meat because of a carbon footprint. So you can't buy beef there any longer. Yeah, they don't need to outlaw anything. They just need to make it so that a few entities have a monopoly on the market, and then they get to dictate what is sold, and it's effectively outlawed, and everyone else is regulated out of existence. It's already bad enough trying to buy directly from farmers here, because they can't sell direct to consumer with a few exceptions because of the regulations that make it cost prohibitive.
Yeah, that's the thing in America. There's no reason to outlaw anything anymore. You just regulate them to death, so that it makes them impossible to operate anyway. You sue them or whatever. It's there. There's no reason to just say it's illegal, and they're finding this more effective to do that too. It's just a part of me is really just hoping this does happen in New York, because I just want to see New York go straight to hell. I don't really care anymore.
It's too late for New York State. I've been trying to get out my whole life.
The city. I mean, the city at least, just let it be America's trash dump, where all the people like AOC got to live someplace. I mean, and
as a libertarian,
with them where they'll all really just completely crush what they've got and ruin it. Let them ruin it. It's and that way we don't have their influence in our towns anymore.
I've joked before that as an anarchist, I'm okay with building a wall around New York City. We don't want their kind up here. Everyone always associates New York with New York City, but no, upstate is a lot different. But yeah, we have very little influence here, though, outside of local elections, because New York City decides every single election. We have virtually no say in what kind of policies get passed for the entire state.
Well, from what I hear, Buffalo is somewhat conservative too. It's
the surrounding areas are, let's see, I mean, because I'm just outside of Syracuse. Syracuse is a blue city, but the surrounding areas are all fairly red. Upstate New York is frequently described as culturally Midwest. In fact, if you go up far enough to the really rural areas, you'll start seeing Confederate flags, which I'm like, these people know that this isn't the South, right? But it's a cultural thing.
Confederate flags in the state of New York. I would not have ever expected that. That's
just like an hour from me, out in some of the more rural areas, because I frequently drive to some of the very sparsely populated areas to go hiking. Yeah, you might as well have just driven into a different state. It's so different.
I don't even know if I've ever seen Confederate flags in Pennsylvania, let alone New York. It's
I'm surprised.
You definitely see them in West Virginia, but
I mean, that's kind of the South, so that at least makes a little more sense. I'm like, these people know that this is the North, right?
Well, I guess that's why the flag is always, it's not about slavery. It's just about an attitude. And maybe they're people actually move from the South to the North too. I don't know why they would, but maybe they did, So
I guess maybe if you come from the deep South, it makes a little more sense. Yeah, it's come to mean different things to different people. And then also because now it just feels rebellious, because it feels like a middle finger to the people saying that they shouldn't be flying it. So there's that aspect.
Yes, I might start flying one just to show them just to thumb their nose at the people who say I shouldn't fly one. It's
I'm not gonna go that far, but I understand that knee-jerk contrarian response. Just so I mean, I have to resist the urge when someone will be saying, if someone is saying something that I generally agree with, but they're being particularly obnoxious about it, I have to resist the urge to just oppose it on principle.
Yes, I suppose so. Of course, New York politics has always been kind of interesting. I mean, they gave us the Roosevelts and the Alexander Hamilton, and of course Grover, and of course other people too. It's actually Grover Cleveland, I believe, was also a New Yorker. You know, we since over the last certainly been a lot of interesting things happen. I mean, you know, in late, you know, around a month ago, the Iryna Zarutska video came out, and
Oh
that
yeah.
really took the Twitter sphere by storm for a while there. It was really everywhere.
It came out, I think, what was it, weeks after it happened too. Like
Yeah,
yeah, I think
I
people
think
did not
someone
want
just
that to get out originally.
Rose. You know, I'm a guy, and I really don't. I think also being from a small town in West Virginia, I really just don't think that much about crime. I walk down the street and I don't really worry about somebody trying to mess with me. You know, occasionally see the crazy homeless people in Austin, but really it's not something I think much about. And you know, you being a younger lady, what's your take on this? I mean, I guess this we could say that in a way this is a male privilege. I mean, are there places you don't go at night? Are there places where you don't feel safe walking down the street? What's your experience?
Oh, well, I mean, Syracuse has a fairly high crime
Yeah,
rate. Because I work at a university, we get like stabbing and shots fired alerts pretty much every single day. It's generally gang related. Biggest threat to regular people is muggings. Like, because I have to, okay, so the way it works is I have to in a parking lot that's several blocks from the building I actually work in because they can't figure out how to provide us with decent parking. Um, so it's actually not unusual to have more than one person try to approach me with the, hey, do you have the time? Or hey, do you have directions ploy? I just say no and don't let anyone get within like 20 feet of me when I'm walking to and from my car. But yeah, crime is definitely something that I do worry about. Like, it's like in general, my biggest concern is just having my stuff stolen, because having to deal with my wallet being stolen is, okay, that's annoying. I lose whatever cash I have and I have to deal with getting all new documents and canceling my credit cards. But I feel like most people, like, we've grown up in still what is a relatively civilized society. Most people are not expecting someone to just show up and stab them out of nowhere. Like, that's not something that most people would think that they needed to be concerned about.
yes, and the video is rather graphic. This is the rare situation in which we have a murder taking place, and we have clear. It's clearly on video, so we know who the murderer is.
Hmm.
We see the victim. It's not like there's much doubt about this.
Yeah, it was pretty horrifying.
I mean
Well,
most murders.
extremely horrifying.
I mean most murders. We're pretty sure that there was a murder, but we don't necessarily know who did it. And we also have now this issue of of various judges who want to coddle these criminals and really just seem to think care more about the criminals than they care about the victims, and it's just I find it rather repulsive. I
You have people in prison for years for being in possession of a chemical substance arbitrarily declared illegal by the state, but then you have actually violent people being released over and over. Like, if if the state is going to operate prisons, the people who they're taking off the street should be the ones who actually pose a threat to people. Like, you're either dangerous enough that you need to be separated from the rest of society, or you're not. But yeah, everything is just backwards.
I really wonder if it's that way on purpose. It's often been said in the unhealthiest societies, the the the, the real criminals aren't treated nearly as badly as the political criminals. And it
Yeah.
seems like we're kind of getting into that place. It's kind of scary to think about it.
Yeah, I mean, New York, like the New York City transport system
Yes.
is just as bad. Like, it's funny. This was in the news very briefly, and then everyone seemed to forget about it. But I think it was back in the spring. There was a woman who was set on fire in the New York subway. Um, no one tried. Like, what was so disturbing about it was no one tried to help her. A cop walked by, saw this woman burning to death, then just continues walking by. Like, at that point, you're like, what is even the point in having cops? Okay, they're not only do they not prevent crime from occurring, not only do they stop criminals, usually they're just a hindrance, because then you have situations like the one with Daniel Penny, where this guy, according to various witnesses who were on the subway car with him saved their lives, and then he's the one that gets arrested. We saw the same thing a couple of years ago with a New York City bodega worker. Some guy jumps over the counter and starts beating him. He stabbed the guy in self-defense. He's the one that gets arrested. So not only are the cops not preventing crime, they are actively arresting and charging people who try to defend themselves. They're even worse when it comes to property crime. Like, odds are, if you try to defend, like if you're running a convenience store and someone tries to rob it and you put your hands on them and attempt to stop them, yeah, you're going to get charged with something. So yeah, they are, it's the anarcho-tyranny model, basically.
That's a good word for it, and it really doesn't. It really does make you wonder where their priorities are. I don't know, and you know, the case of Daniel Penny, also the Michael Jackson impersonator, the person that died, definitely had a reputation in all this. I mean, some of these people, I think they're just really insane, and they need to bring back some type of hospitals for these people or something. I don't know if they'll ever be safe to be on the street, but it's clearly a danger, and it's just,
That's a tough one because, yeah, like at what, I struggle with that a lot too. Like, you don't want to necessarily give the state an easy way to involuntarily commit people to mental hospitals because of the potential for abuse there. So, like, at what point can they declare someone mentally incompetent and a danger to other people and justify segregating them from the rest of society? But yeah, I mean, the recurring theme in a lot of these cases, with the Iryna Zarutska case and with the guy that died during the Daniel Penny case, like, yeah, they were very clearly, something was not right with them. Like, yeah, they
I think,
probably should not have been out running around.
that's some cases with the people in Austin, the homeless people in Austin do it. And you know, crazy people are sometimes scary because are scarier just because you can't really predict what they're going to do.
Right.
They're very erratic, and there's just not really you.
Right. Just, but I mean, the vast majority of mentally ill people are not a threat and they're not violent. So, like, you don't necessarily want to grant the state the power to just lock people up. Like, you, but yeah, that's a tough one.
Well, you hope.
I don't know if it's an issue of the healthcare system being like such that unless you have insurance, it's practically unaffordable. So people are not getting help, or it's or is our society making it so people just don't seek help when they probably should? I don't know.
And there's also the issue of, I certainly don't think anybody should be, until they've done something that shows them to be a threat. It's, something violent or something like that. It's really that's what we have to look at here. It's not
Right. Yeah, and the guy in Charlotte, he'd been let out multiple times already when he
Oh yes.
clearly had shown himself to be a danger to others. So yeah, that's just a complete failure. Like, if someone is going to be held in confinement, like, he was a prime example of someone who should have been. So yeah, it makes you wonder, like, are the judges, like, are they more worried about it looking bad if they keep someone locked up, or like, yeah, you have to wonder, like, what were they thinking? Like, why are people being locked up for non-violent crimes, but actually violent criminals are being let go over and over, or they get laughably short sentences, like couple years for brutally assaulting someone?
It really does raise a lot of questions. Yeah, of course, Iryna Zarutska was everywhere in the Twitter sphere, and then we had an incident on the 10th of September that basically made her disappear. It was I sometimes say this might have been the reason why it happened. Of course, that was the shooting of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. It's I got asked, did you know anybody who knew Charlie? Or
I don't know anyone directly who knew him.
yeah, and did you ever, had you ever seen him in action or seen him speak? I mean,
Uh-uh. No, I mean, I mean, I don't think I'd ever actually paid attention to him. I just kind of figured he was your run-of-the-mill conservative ink type. I mean, yeah, not a fan of him personally, but uh this is it feels like a turning, no pun intended, but it feels like a turning point. Charlie Kirk was not a politician or a megacorp, like a CEO of a megacorporation. He was a political commentator. It feels like a line was crossed now that it feels like a line was crossed. Now that it's apparently okay to kill political commentators, like, I don't think that's a precedent that anyone actually wants set. I don't
I,
think people actually want to cross that line. Not to mention, of course, this is going to be used as an excuse for further crackdowns on political dissidents. But yeah, nothing good is going to come of this.
yeah, the right wing has definitely gotten. They were already angry because of Iryna Zarutska, but now, yeah, I saw Matt Walsh tweet. That left wing terrorism is a national emergency, and I thought, oh my goodness, he's using the words national emergency, and then you read some of this other stuff, and of course, I do. One person in England pointed out if you count the Oklahoma City bombing, right wing terrorists, if you at least by the official narrative, still do have an advantage, but it's not a good sign. I don't know how they're going to move with this. They don't seem to be moving with it anywhere. But I really am amazed at all the outpouring of emotion around this, aren't you, Rose? I mean, I didn't think there'd be people filling up football stadiums, but they did. What do you think about that?
I didn't know it was quite so popular, but yeah, I think a lot of people are seeing this as kind of symbolic, I guess, of the overall culture war issues. Like, I think a lot of people are thinking, wow, if is it possible that this many people actually want us dead for our political views? Like, again, I was not by any means a Charlie Kirk fan, but I think it kind of caused a lot of people to think to themselves, like, oh my God, if people are cheering over this guy having been shot, like, are there people who would cheer if I were to be shot? Like, again, I just find it frustrating because people are focusing on the wrong enemies as usual. Okay, ultimately, this is the state that is causing all this division. History has shown over and over that the bigger and more authoritarian the state is, the lower trust society you have. We've seen this in recent decades. The past decade, things have really escalated. We're at the point now where people view those who vote for the other team as an existential threat. Things did not used to be this bad, but like the most recent election cycle, we're seeing people cut off their family members and end decades-long friendships because the other person voted for the wrong team. Ultimately, though, it's the state. It's the state that's implementing policies, but rather than focus on the true enemy, you have people instead blaming the people who voted for the wrong team. And yeah, now we're at the point where apparently people want to target political commentators who they view as being on the other team. Like, again, nothing good is going to come of this. This is just going to further the division. We're seeing that already. Like, we're seeing people on the right saying, oh, well, the time for the debate is over. Now we're just going to fight back. It's always interesting seeing the right revert back to cancel culture when the right has never been averse to cancel culture. When I was growing up, it was always the right trying to cancel everything they didn't like. They were overshadowed during the 2010s, which for people who originally came from the left, this was particularly jarring because I always saw the left as being the ones who were believers in free speech and in like freedom of ideas and in having conversations. It was very jarring seeing the left suddenly wanting to shout down speakers and do the whole no debate thing. So they kind of stole the spotlight for a while, and you had the right pretending that they were now the champions of free speech. I mean, that's all gone out the window. They've just gone back to being just as happy to cancel their opposition, just as happy to implement restrictions on speech. I mean, you've got people on the right now talking about hate speech when they were the ones saying for years, there's no such thing as hate speech. That's just you wanting to outlaw speech that hurts your feelings.
Yes, Pam Bondi. She seems like a. I always wonder about men who surround themselves with really stupid women. It really says a lot about a guy if that's the case. It means he just wants women who go along with him and doesn't want women who challenge him. He's really evolving into something that might end up being worse than the first term of the second Bush, which I didn't think was possible. But
Oh, right, yeah. I mean, I was just having my political awakening during the Bush administration, but I remember when the Patriot Act was passed, and I'm like, this is not going to be temporary, right? And it's eventually going to be used against the rest of us. People didn't believe me because they never do. They're like, no, this is just to go after terrorists. Well, yeah, I mean, it's been turned around on the citizens. We saw this starting during the Biden administration too. Like, remember that creepy speech he gave with the red lights behind him, talking about how extremists are a threat to our democracy, which of course just means our regime. We had the former CIA torturer in chief getting on national TV and lumping libertarians in with other far right extremists. Uh, yeah, the war on terror has been turned around back onto the citizens. We have Palantir compiling a high tech database of US citizens. Justification being, oh, well, this information already exists. The government already has this. Okay, but it's just putting it into a centralized database where it's way easier to look up people and get a behavior profile on them.
yeah, we definitely see profiles. I worry about Trump cooperating with the surveillance state. People like Palantir and Peter Thiel. I mean, Derek Bros has talked about this a lot. I think a lot of other people talked about it a lot. I don't know where we're going with this, but it seems like Trump wants to turn America into Israel in more ways than one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not something I'm happy about. It's and I don't know where it was, but all these people celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, it's rather wild. The thing is, I don't really ever remember him calling for violence against anybody or really just saying anything that was that downright outrageous or name calling. He seemed like he was mostly engaging fairly level headed, calm debate with people. And at least that's what I've seen.
I
There's,
mean, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the people who do the whole, oh, I'm engaging in debate, but they only debate inexperienced college students. I mean, at the end of the day, though, like people did voluntarily choose to go to these events on campuses and debate him. So, yeah, it's going to just be put into Charlie Kirk owns the libs compilations. But so I don't really consider it to be high level journalism or debate. But I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, that was a voluntary thing.
yes, it was. And the whole business with Jimmy Kimmel was ridiculous. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel was basically commenting about Trump's reaction to the whole thing. And I agree. Trump, said didn't seem to care. He
Well,
gave a
he's a
eulogy and
narcissist.
just made
Yeah.
it about himself. And I said, well, this is typical for the narcissist. He just uses people, and then once they're gone, he doesn't really care if they're gone. It's
Oh yeah, he'll use the shooting to advance his agenda. But yeah, I don't think Trump actually is capable of caring about anyone else. And of course, I mean, this is you can say this for any politician or anyone in the position of power in any organization. You're going to have the dark triad types rising to the top. So it's no different. Like with government official positions, yeah, you end up with sociopaths in charge. That's something that's just going to happen over and over. That's precisely why you don't want concentrated power and why you want decentralization.
yes, that is why you want things. I'm not really sure how I feel about this whole thing of now sending troops into all these cities. Like I said, I really just want these cities to burn themselves down. And he has no authority to do this, so it's quite a troubling trend, and we'll see it happen on the right more with the left wing doing it, sending them into small towns in Appalachia or someplace like that when they don't like what's happening.
This is people don't think two steps ahead. They cheer for something when it's their team doing it. They don't, but then they don't stop and think about the fact that, yeah, okay, your guy is not going to be in power forever. Do you want the other team to have this power? Like, do the people cheering for sending like for the setting the precedent that you can send federal agents into cities, like, yeah, are Trump supporters going to be happy when a Democrat is in office and they can send federal agents into their small towns to go after right-wing extremists? I had this conversation with people when Obama was in office, and he set the precedent that you can kill U.S. Citizens abroad without, not only without trial, but without charge. I'm like, you're okay with this now because you think Obama is on your side. Well, you want a Republican to have this power. Well, then Trump gets elected in 2016, and suddenly they're very worried about the president having the authority to just kill US citizens. He didn't do it his first term, amazingly, but again, people don't think two steps ahead.
They really don't. It's wild. I think they probably did in the past, but they don't anymore. I don't know really when this started. It really makes absolutely no sense the way it's happening now. I don't know what's, and like, letting these cities completely self-destruct would be better anyway. I mean, I don't know how just,
Well,
but yeah, it's just going to enable them and let them go along longer. I don't know where I don't see how that's an improvement, but
well, I think what's scary is it feels like an attempt to normalize having basically living under martial law. It feels like an attempt to normalize seeing federal agents marching down the streets. But at the same time, like, people are okay with it because in some of these cities, like, the local law enforcement and local officials have so thoroughly failed to do their jobs, as we were just mentioning earlier with the stabbings or people being set on fire on public transport, people having their stores broken into, and local officials not even trying to enforce the law. People are saying, hey, like people are happy to have federal agents finally doing something, but it's a trap though. Like, they're going to
yes.
pay for that later. This is just normalizing having federal agents.
Yeah, it's just and so much, and we actually have still very decentralized compared to other countries around the world. So I don't know if these
Somewhat.
I don't know if these local police chiefs really care as much, or maybe they're the county sheriff in a lot of small counties. So it's like, this is my county, don't come here into my county. But maybe the cities just have a different attitude.
Yeah, that's yeah, from what I've based on what I have heard from people who live in small towns, yeah, you've got better luck of the sheriff at least being kind of on your side and trying to enforce the will of the people who make up that area than you do in the city. Like, in the city, yeah, the cops are just a gang. They don't even pretend to give a shit about the citizens. Small towns, like we saw this during COVID, you'd at least get some places where sheriffs are like, you know what, we're not going to enforce COVID restrictions. Okay, what are they going to do? Send in feds? Well, now we're setting the precedent that they can do that. Be interesting to see if if some places try to stop the feds by force. I know some
Yes.
flirted with this, like saying, "Oh, don't come into our city or you'll be arrested." It'll be interesting to see if this is actually attempted. At the end of the day, it's just a gang war as far as I'm concerned. Like, it's just federal government versus state government. It's just two gangs fighting for control. So yeah, not on either side, but at the same time, like, maybe one of them is slightly less bad than the other to live under temporarily. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know where we go from here. I sometimes in some ways say I'm hoping for a civil war just because I think it's maybe could shake things up enough.
Hmm.
And goodness knows it would certainly destroy our empire. And apparently, and there was a bomb threat at Utah State today, which was their next Turning Point USA's next tour. That's Charlie's organization. So it's makes me wonder. I just stumbled onto something. I got to share this, at least according to what this report says. This is apparently some. Now this says New Zealand's Maori Christians pay tribute to Charlie Kirk at a haka. They have their own haka for Charlie Kirk. This is good. Hakas are always worth watching. There's so many worthwhile things these people give us. They are our friends. I got to show this.
So wait, the haka, was it pro Charlie Kirk or anti Charlie Kirk?
Well, the haka is often a ritual that's just to honor a man who's died. It's
okay.
Yeah, that's one of the beautiful things. It's they do that when they honor the warriors. I mean, I've seen sometimes the firemen will do it, and the white New Zealanders have kind of taken up the haka as their own too. But it's pretty wild. Yeah, this is just beautiful. I think hakas are almost exclusively a guy thing too. I don't see many women doing them.
Yeah, I don't think. Oh no! There were nurses that did them during COVID, but then they got into trouble for cultural appropriation.
Cultural appropriation is It seems, like I said, it seems to be a ritual to honor the dead, and I think it looks like it could actually be a very healthy way to do that because it's in honor of the dead, but also a way to let out your own anger. It reminds me when one of my buddies, Leo, died. I went down to the gym and just beat up a punching bag for a half hour. It's
probably a healthy way to handle it.
Yeah, you just have to everybody has their own way of dealing with death, and you got to learn to accept those ways as long as people aren't. I mean, when Erica Kirk tweeted "Go Ducks" and somebody jumped on her saying, "Aren't you still grieving?" I said, "Come on, she can't root for Oregon." I mean, geez, she's just supposed to be sad. She's not supposed to talk about football or.
Yeah, people have unrealistic expectations of how the grieving process works. Things like someone who was very close to you dying can take time to process.
Well, a lot of times people just also, when somebody dies, they just get more into their work and do their thing. It's
yeah, people oftentimes people will kind of just, it's a protective mechanism. People will kind of just shut down and not show any emotion for weeks or months in some cases. But people expect it to be like in the movies where someone finds out that their family member died and they break down and burst, like they immediately break down and start crying hysterically. Like that's oftentimes not how it works. Like these things often take time to process. So there's really no right way to grieve. To be honest, I haven't really followed. I honestly have not followed Erica Kirk at all, but I've never liked it when people criticize how a person is grieving. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean anything if someone is not acting what you think. If someone is not acting the way you personally think they should be acting.
Well, everybody's here to judge everybody's actions and how they act, especially on social media. It's getting so ridiculous, and it makes it so easy for us to evaluate all these people. Uh, I really don't know what to say, and there's so much wild things going on here. It's just,
Oh yeah, every single week there's some crazy thing happening. Like I can't even keep up with everything that's happened in the past few months, I feel like.
and the left has been glorifying criminals for a long time. It was interesting that the Chicago Teachers Union sent out this little thing about rest in power, Asata Shakur. And well, this was a lady who actually, you know, wanted by the FBI since she escaped prison in 1975, found guilty of murder of a state trooper. And she actually went to Cuba because she wanted to be in that workers' paradise. It's so telling where these people are right now.
I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
Yeah, well,
I
it's
don't know
another
about
thing
the
that's out
case.
there on Twitter. It wasn't really that well known. It's just the left they've really been barbarians for a long time.
I guess it depends on. I mean, it depends on how you're defining the left. Well, this is okay. So both the far left, and the far right are like. I hate the debate over which one is more violent than the other. Like they're both prone to violence. What's different now is, yeah, the left. It's not that the left has never been violent, but left-wing violence for most of recent history has been, you got mostly violence against property. You got things like
Yes.
eco-terrorists burning construction equipment, or animal rights activists letting minks out of their cages on fur farms or something. You didn't normally get violence targeted at people. So someone on the left shooting someone, that's kind of a new phenomenon. Like this is yeah, this is different.
Well, there's always been
Right?
this
Yeah.
attitude that property isn't invaluable, so it's not okay to kill. Yeah, it's always okay. Yeah, you're not allowed to defend your properties.
Which is dumb because your property is your labor and is part of your life. Like if I really want a particular car, so I work for a particular, like I work for several years to save up for it. Okay, that is several years of my life that I spent getting that car. So someone depriving me of that property is depriving me of years of my life. So yeah, the idea that violence against property is not violence is bullshit. But yeah, you didn't normally get extremists on the left targeting people directly. That tended to be more of a right wing thing. Like you would get people blowing up buildings or carrying out mass shootings. But yeah,
Yeah,
it does seem like an escalation.
it does seem like an escalation. I think they're getting more desperate, although it seems like in a way both sides are getting more desperate because both sides feels more this mentality that they're under siege, and
Hmm.
it's rather.
Yeah.
It seems like the way to fit the solution to this would be if they all just went and voted for third parties, but they don't want to do that. They'd rather rip the country apart.
Like I said earlier, like, yeah, it's the state. It's the state that is oppressing everyone and making them, but rather than focusing on their real enemies, they're just focusing on people who vote for the other team. They're attacking each other, and that is by design. Okay, it is designed to keep people fighting amongst each other and not going after the ruling class.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely that way. It's a weird place to be, but I. Is there anything else out there you've been noticing that's you think worth discussing that we haven't mentioned yet?
Oh, well, but what else has happened over the past couple months?
Yeah, yeah. There's it's been a certainly we've watched some things come down the pike, and I think England's getting worse. They're still arresting people for tweets and stuff like that, and yet they don't.
Oh, well, they have draconian laws on yeah, speech. People can get arrested for hate speech for tweeting something or retweeting something. And yeah, they just recently passed some absolutely awful regulations on like internet privacy. like censorship laws, making it so that you can't visit certain sites, and of course, people are just going to get around them using VPNs and stuff. They're already
Yes.
discussing VPN bans.
Yeah, Vinny Eastwood told me, it's always been a crime to view the Christchurch shooting video. Even though that's news, it's
Yeah, we
make it
can't.
illegal. It was kind of amazing when we got into some of the details about the corruption of New Zealand. I was really eye opening. I don't know where it goes from New York. Yeah. So what's next for LP Alliance, Rose?
Well, things are heating up on the LNC from the look of it. We've got two people who everyone else is getting annoyed with their antics. We recently had a lawyer who was offering services pro bono that who has now stepped down because of the harassment he was getting. So, yeah. I mean, there's always been drama, but yeah, there's always been drama. It just changes slightly who is behind the drama and what type of drama.
Yeah, there's been drama. I don't know if it's worth. Sometimes people just. I have to admit, I quit some of the discords. I just didn't seem
Yeah.
like it was worth the discussions there. But I already get into enough things already online. And with my Twitter rule of not arguing with anybody who has less than 600 followers, I mean, that really makes things a lot easier on Twitter.
I
And
have fewer than.
when I
Yeah, I
make
definitely have fewer than 600, but
when I make it numerical, there's also this feeling of I'm still allowed to do it. I just have a limit where I can't do it. It seems like I deal better with rules that have numbers in them.
I don't argue with blue checks because they're probably just trying to engagement farm.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's certainly will be interesting to see where our Libertarian Party goes.
Well, yeah, there are quite a few reforms that are needed. So, purpose of LP Alliance, well, one of the purposes of LP Alliance is to help make some much needed changes to the bylaws to ensure that the party is not easily hijacked by rogue groups again, and to ensure that it's easier to remove someone who, like an officer who is engaging in blatant corruption, among other things. But yeah, that's one of the
I
primary
hope so. I
purposes.
mean, I think there are different plans to reform the LP. I mean, if we can ever have a convention where we get to bylaws, which
Well, that's the biggest concern, and the fact that it frequently, like, yeah, that bylaws and platform can be preempted for other things, like that's so easily abused too. Just okay, so if you don't want certain bylaws reforms made, just deliberately have other shit get in the way at convention. Invite a speaker, but where it's going to take hours to get through that speaker, or yeah, orchestrate a battle over seating delegates or something. Yeah, you can ensure that bylaws changes are not even heard. So that's definitely a problem.
it's definitely a problem. I mean, I think 2026 could prove pivotal to that because there's not going to be a presidential election, so that could help things out. So,
Right. That's usually where they get to bylaws and platform. It's going to, yeah, that's going to be the moment where either the LP gets retaken by people who want to have it serve its actual purpose as a libertarian party, or it gets lost. Like, I think this is going to be an important convention.
yeah, if I'll still be here next year, I don't know where I'm going to be. I should feel like
Well,
I
we
need
need
to.
all the delegates we can get. So.
I would say that if it's based on what happens usually with the middle conventions like this, there have been delegate out attendance like less than 400 sometimes at LP National in the non-presidential years. Don't be surprised if a lot of delegate slots are open.
Wouldn't surprise me, but I think both the Mises and non-Mises factions are treating this as an important convention. So I guess we'll see how many people actually show up. Gonna do my best to get there. Yeah, my situation's kind of up in the air because let's see, my current job may or may not be able to keep me employed for funding reasons. So I'm kind of looking for another one. I don't know what I'm going to be doing this time next year, if I'm going to be working the same job or a different job, but I'm going to do everything I can to try to be there. Because this is important, and yeah,
And I think that
involved enough. I definitely want to be there.
and Grand Rapids should be a great site. It should be cheap.
It's
Might
within
not
driving distance.
it might not be that easy for some people on the West Coast to get to, because as long as you can get Uber and Lyft, and there's a Walgreens nearby, I will appreciate the convention site. I did already book an Airbnb for it, so
Oh yeah, I should. Yeah, I definitely should go ahead and book a hotel
I'd
room.
never booked an Airbnb that far ahead before, but I thought, oh, yeah, do this now, just so it's done, and you'll have the pick of the best ones.
It's funny. I've looked at Airbnb several times and I've never actually used it because it's not really that much cheaper, and they like expect you to like clean and or they charge you some absurd
It
fee.
depends. I have to admit, it's not as cheap as it used to be. It's kind of unfortunate.
It used to be cheaper, but at this point, it's like for the price you pay, you might as well just get a hotel room.
It is kind of getting that way. I do find that unfortunate. I often meet some really amazing people. If they have a dog, that's a nice bonus, and
Yeah.
I usually get a fridge, and there's a community aspect. I always make sure there's a desk. I have to make sure they don't have cats because I'm allergic to them. So that's one thing to look for. So yeah, if somebody wants to share a room instead, I might just cancel the Airbnb, because I'll always make sure an Airbnb has good cancellation policies.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with the hotel, I only ever book hotel rooms where you can cancel within like a week of the stay if you can't make it. Yeah, I mean, the whole reason I go to Libertarian, or one of the main reasons I go to Libertarian events, you meet some very amazing people who are worth networking with, and maybe who can help you build your counter economy and form your mutual aid network.
Yeah, it all depends. I've got to say too, I've noticed some things about Airbnbs, and I think there's more people hosting Airbnbs in towns that are getting more expensive, like Austin, because they're getting to the point where they have to keep hold of their property. They have to rent out a room or something.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, we've gotten to the point where even 2 incomes is not enough anymore.
Where a Memphis Airbnb was more expensive than a Phoenix Airbnb in 2023, and I thought, well, this is why. Because Phoenix has a lot of people moving there, and Memphis does not.
Not only that, but like if you have an extra property, you have an in-law apartment or something, having short-term rentals they're a lot lower risk than renting it out. Like if you live in an area where the state could just arbitrarily enforce a rent freeze or a moratorium on evictions or something.
I don't think people realize just how hard it is to evict people.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the recent accomplishments of the Free State Project. New Hampshire essentially became at will on evictions.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those situations where, like, okay, if you just randomly evict someone, you're probably a piece of shit if you just tell someone, oh, get out, without good reason for doing so. So, like, you shouldn't do that, but at the same time, you should have a right to tell someone to get out of your property if you want to. Like, you should not be forced to let someone to continue to live on your property.
Well, no sane landlord is going to, evict a good tenant.
Right. Exactly. And
a lot of evictions never go to court.
Right.
The landlord says leave, and they just says, okay, I'll leave. Because you don't want that on your background checks, because that'll end up on your background checks, and it'll be even harder to get a place.
Right. No one's going to rent to you if you.
But that was going to rent to you because you end up with somebody who wasn't paying the rent, making violent threats and damaged property. It's like, get them.
Right. Because I mean, when you make it too difficult to evict people, you will have people who abuse those policies and are like, well, you can't evict me, so why should I have to pay rent? I mean, you did see this during COVID. Again, I suspect that was on some level by design to drive the smaller landlords out of business and force them to sell their properties to giant corporations.
You know, COVID made me realize something, and I never thought of it. And perhaps listening too much to the Marxists, and it's more or less about the billionaires and all these people who push this COVID nonsense.
Mhm.
The billionaires don't want to steal from people who have $500 in the bank. They don't have anything to steal.
Well, it's not they want to
Yeah.
steal from you, they just want you to be dependent on them.
But they want to steal from the people who maybe have $1 million or $2 million in the bank because they got a lot more to steal.
Well, and they're
So that
harder to
was the whole
control.
point.
When you
So
have,
that was the whole point of COVID: destroying the small businesses, destroying a landlord who might have one or two rental properties.
right,
That
the
was the
middle
whole.
class.
It was about destroying them, destroying people who do have something, because the poor people aren't worth it.
The poor people don't have options, but yeah, the middle class had just enough that they
Yeah,
could resist.
I
Yeah,
mean, would you rather take $100 from 1,000 people, or would you rather take $100,000 from one person? It's
right.
real. Yeah, it's a lot easier. And you know, I'm not saying they're stealing literally, but just doing policies that destroy them and enriching themselves, which is what COVID was all about.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, the person with $100,000 at least had options. They could move out of. They could move. They could own
yeah.
property. They could do their own thing. Yeah, the working class. Yeah, they can't really. They're kind of. Yeah, they're kind of a slave to whatever policies you want to implement.
Yes, indeed. I don't know where we go from here. It's certainly been interesting watching all
Right.
this. I think, and people seem to forget that Trump was the one who pushed all this originally. It's
Hmm. Oh yeah,
yeah.
lockdown Don. Yeah, there. Yeah, Trump was never anti-lockdown or anti
Well,
COVID
he
regime.
wanted to promote, you know, he wanted to say trade is bad, internationalism is bad, globalism is bad. This is our way to discredit globalism and start fear mongering that it spreads disease. And then, of course, just, and then he just lost control of the monster that he created. And then it went to where it is now. Yeah. Well, this has been a good talk, Rose. It was good to have
Yeah.
you back on. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go? There's a lot of stuff happening out there, but yeah, it's I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to talk about, but if there is, let me know. I mean,
I think we
anything else?
pretty much covered everything recent.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, it was great to come back on though.
Oh yes, it was great to have you back on too. Yes, you're always a reasonable voice of common sense. I enjoyed having you on. Yeah, I don't know if there's anybody else you think I should bring on from the LP. I'm learning a lot though, but I got to do other things too. It's
How many shows do you normally do per week?
I don't really have a quota, so
Okay.
I've been traveling, so I didn't do that many shows. And
Right. I know you already had Amanda on. There are a bunch of people from LP Alliance who are very interesting to talk to. We have
yeah,
a we have a lot of like we're a pretty diverse group. So you'll find like libertarian socialists and you'll find like conservative classic liberal types all in the same place.
yes, yeah, we definitely have some. It's always going to be an interesting tent of people. I hope we can bring in more people. And no, Nomad Capitalist was pretty much amazing, although it wasn't cheap.
Oh yeah.
I went to Malaysia and a few other places. So yeah.
Oh cool.
Okay, well, please, where can we find you out there, Rose? You're on Twitter, right?
Yep, you can find me on Twitter, aka X at
Yes.
Saint of Liberty.
Yes, I refuse to call it X. I think a lot of people are just flat out refusing it. It's like
You know, I resisted it for so long, except when I'm typing on my phone, which is a pain in the ass. It's so much easier to just type X than it is to write out Twitter. And I'm sure they were bribed to do this, but it like with predictive text, my iPhone does not list Twitter as predictive text. I guarantee they were bribed to do that. So it is so much easier to just type X. But I know because I do still want to call it Twitter.
it's more descriptive.
Yeah, you can also find me on Thursday nights at 8 on the business list hosted by
Yeah.
LP Alliance. You can find me, Libertarian Party of New York does our usually bi-weekly Liberty Test podcast. You can find that on the LPNY official YouTube account or we now
Yes.
also live stream to the LPNY X account,
Mhm.
aka Twitter account.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
am calling it X now, apparently.
Yeah. You all have been streaming quite a few places. It's been very, there's some good stuff out there, and it's mostly younger people. I'm glad to see that we can really got some things we need to do here. I think maybe we can be better off because of it, though. Okay, please like this show, subscribe to the channel. Check out my Substack. Go buy my novel, Escape from the Village. People are giving me money to buy me a coffee. Thank you, Rose Leatherman. I'm Chris
Thank you.
Baker. We're out. Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you.